Once again, it is not the people who we are told we need to fear. Christian missionary hailed as holiest man alive pleads guilty to abusing boys in Texas. Daniel Savala, a former missionary whose influence inside an Assemblies of God-run college ministry persisted for years despite repeated warnings about his predatory behavior, pleaded guilty Thursday to charges that he sexually abused two boys. Appearing by video from jail, Savala, 70, entered the plea before Judge Susan Kelly, admitting to one count of continuous trafficking of persons, a felony charge for offenders who engage in a pattern of sexual exploitation involving multiple victims over time. Under the negotiated plea deal, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison without the possibility of parole. Savala, dressed in gray jail scrubs, showed no emotion as he entered his plea and accepted a sentence that prosecutors expect will send him to prison for the rest of his life. I don't expect he will ever see the light of day again, McLennan County District Attorney Josh Tettins said afterward, and that is justice in this case. The plea brought closure to a criminal case that began in 2023 after revelations that leaders in the Chi Alpha campus ministry repeatedly failed to act on allegations against Savala, allowing him to continue mentoring teens and young men for years. Last year, an NBC News investigation found that leaders in the Assemblies of God, the world's largest Pentecostal denomination, were warned again and again about Savala's history, but failed to cut off his access to students in Texas, even after a 2012 child sex abuse conviction in Alaska. Instead, he remained a revered spiritual figure among pastors in Chi Alpha who called him Papa Daniel and the holiest man alive, and sent scores of students to his Houston home for guidance. Behind that image was a secretive ministry built around a backyard sauna where Savala invoked scripture to persuade boys and young men to undress, preaching that nudity is unity, and blurred the line between spiritual mentoring and sexual exploitation, according to his accusers and former followers. Savala's devotees included a pastor from Waco who brought his own sons, ages 11 and 12 at the time, to Savala's home beginning in 2021. According to court records, the boys were instructed to undress in the sauna, where Savala sexually abused them while their father was present. The conduct at the center of the charges Savala pleaded guilty to Thursday. The criminal case against the boys' father is pending. Savala's plea carried weight for a broader group of accusers and whistleblowers, some of whom attended the hearing and saw the conviction as the culmination of decades of alleged abuse and years of ignored warnings. At least 8 others have accused Savala of sexually abusing them as teens or young men, according to lawsuits, signed statements, and criminal filings. Let's first deal with that part of the story about the father who brought his kids there. He stood there while his boys got abused. His tween and teen boys. I know that what I'm about ready to say is going to seem horrible to some people, but it's what I believe, it's what I feel. I hope for nothing but the absolute worst case scenario jailhouse justice for you when you get to prison. The worst possible scenario you can imagine that hardened prisoners will do to a child molester behind bars, whatever it is you can imagine, I hope it's 10 times worse, and I hope they do it for fucking years. Your own fucking kids. Your own fucking kids. Back to the main story here, this gentleman. Once again, it's not any of the people that you have been told it is. I sell this shirt. Hang on, let me show you. This shirt says, once again, not a drag queen, not a trans person, not an immigrant, not a woke school teacher. Why? Because of stories like this. These are the stories we keep getting, not these people. Once again, it's another trusted member of the religious community. Another person from your church, another person from your community group. Or some fucking Boy Scout leader or politician. It's never any of the people we're ever told that we need to watch our kids against. You can find a story every single day as to why you should never leave your children with a member of the church alone. Ever.